Last basketball comment. Let's talk about what's happening in Los Angeles with the team that's no longer in the playoffs. And this to me is really sad. We're talking Clipper basketball here. The autopsy at the end of the season, no Kawhi Leonard, no Paul George, therefore not much of a chance to compete. Three-point shooters kind of disappeared during that Clipper playoff series. Real tough setback. They have enormous salary cap problems, yet they have said they want to re-sign Russell Westbrook. And Westbrook resuscitated his career, I thought. I mean, he had some big games there because he had to, because the other guys were out injured. And they want to re-sign him, and they want to sign the big old dog, the backup center, Mason Plumlee, who gave him a lot of valuable minutes and an absolute ton of energy. And they want to re-sign the three-point shooter Eric Gordon. But they're $40 million over the cap, and the new CBA kicks in this year. And if you're that much over the cap, you start losing draft pick slots. You lose the ability to sign any player who have been bought out by another team. They call it amnesty buyout. You lose the ability to use mid-level trade exceptions, which are part of the salary cap structure. And they're way over the cap. And the league just put into place, I think it comes in effective June 1st, a new set of financial rules. There's about 5 or 6 clubs that are so far over the cap, they're going to have to cut players, because otherwise you lose too many of the tools you have to operate and build your roster. Now, could they get Kawhi Leonard or Paul George to give money back? It's a novel approach. Maybe you do it for the good of the franchise. I don't know very many players that give money back. And now you got the whole history of what is Kawhi Leonard going to be like with his third injury to the knee, the terrible loss of all the cartilage around the knee, meniscus. And if they have to take the meniscus out, then you have a player playing bone on bone, and that's hard. The wear and tear factor on that, and it's going to be painful. So who knows what decision they make with Kawhi? He just can't stay on the court, as brilliant as he is. And you got Paul George, who's always dinged up. So Clippers, the autopsy is not good. They're going to try to hold this team together. I don't think they have any chips to go out in the marketplace and add anything to the roster. So NBA has changed the rules, and the Clippers thought they were going to get there and be a championship team. And for this group of people, like the last group of people with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, not work out.
So let's just explore a hypothetical. Let's just say, the Clippers are way over on the salary cap, and you decide to cut Kawhi or Paul George just to get under the cap.
Well, you could trade them.
Well, yeah, you could trade them, and then, you could maybe work a deal and get below the cap. But let's just say hypothetically they got cut, which would be crazy. But if they did, they're still on the hook to pay them, right?
Yes.
And then if they land with some other team, then do they pay the minimum, and then the Clippers pick up the balance? Does it kind of work the way it does in Major League Baseball?
I don't know if teams, in fact, that's a good question. I don't think under this new set of guidelines, I don't think you can pay a portion of the salary to move that guy off the roster. You could in the past. I think I read this past week that you can't. But you can trade. You can trade this player to a team that's got cap space that's willing to take on that player. They'll give you players in return. They'll give you draft picks in return. But then if you do that, if you trade Paul George or Kawhi Leonard, you're busting up the roster you built.
Right.
So it's a really tough call, unless Steve Ballmer, who's been one of the most benevolent owners and has tried so hard to put the Clippers in the NBA Finals, says, I don't care about the limitations. I'm keeping my team together. We're going to re-sign Russell Westbrook. We'll try to get everybody healthy and come back next year with this group, because the group never got to play together, right, for large chunks of the whole season. That's a good question.
Ballmer might be the Steve Cohen of the NBA.
Yeah, exactly. All right, before we move on